Actually, my heart was broken when Kuntun was saying that regulation is the most barrier that maybe in general stop all of us to actually making our business scalable. My name is Nob. I'm from Chelikin Gibbons. We are regional law firm headquartered here in Bangkok, Thailand. We have offices in 7 jurisdictions. So we are headquartered here in Thailand. We have offices in 7 jurisdictions. We are full service law firm. We are the largest law firm here in Thailand. We actually very focused on technology and also, of course, fintech and digital asset. So it was very, very interesting to hear all of the non-lawyer people talking about how regulations are actually the barriers. So even though my slide will be very, very focused on Thailand, but in fact, it is the trend throughout the regions. So it's not just Thailand, it is the same as we are seeing in Vietnam. It is the same as we are seeing in the CLMV regions. So just to quickly understand, if you want to do fintech in this region, it is unfortunately just one regulator. These are the three main regulators that you need to deal with. If you are doing fintech that is payment, then it will be the Bank of Thailand. If you are doing digital asset or cryptocurrency, you need to talk to the SEC. And the second regulator, of course, is fintech or if it's cryptocurrency. So it means that you need to have a platform. And then there is a new law on digital platform that has been issued by the Ministry of Digital Economy and Society. So I normally call them Digital Ministry. And then the third one is actually, we call it PDPC, which is the regulators about personal data protection. So it is a common theme around the region, around this region, that at least these three regulators are the main key regulators that you have to deal with. When I talk to our clients, especially the fintech clients that focusing on payment, they only think about the Bank of Thailand. They never thought that there will be a lot of regulations. They will never think of there will be other set of regulations that they need to look into. It's just because actually right now, the Bank of Thailand has its own PSA, which is Payment System Act, and they have a sub-regulation of, I think the number is around 40 to 50. So normally the operator would think that that number is a lot enough. But we are not like Singapore. Thailand is not Singapore, Vietnam is not Singapore. So we also have a separate regulator that is talking about KYC as, I think one of the panelists was talking about the pain point of doing KYC and doing NDID. So, which in Thailand, it is different from Singapore because MAS, which is the regulator that is regulating, like AKA FinTech, is also regulate the AML as well. AML is an anti-money laundering, just for the non-lawyer. But for Thailand, when the investor want to come and actually maybe roll out their fintech business here in Thailand, they didn't know that they can just go to the Bank of Thailand and it will be a one-stop shop. No. Sometimes they go to the Bank of Thailand and they thought that they have run to their KYC or CDD regulation requirement and then everything is fine. But the truth is no. Actually, they have to go to another regulator just to make sure that when they want to onboard their users, they need to comply with another set of regulation. And with that, they might think that, oh, that is enough already. Sorry, we have a new law. This one is called Digital Platform Services. Actually, we copy it from the EU. So again, the trend is the same around the world. So right now, we have the new law that also covers digital platform services. And if you are what is called an in-scope platform, you will need to actually register yourself here. Oh, maybe this one is too small, but within 18th of November, you have to register yourself, your platform, with another regulator, which is the Digital Ministry. And to be eligible or to be privileged to also register yourself with the regulator, here is the definition. So if you are a platform that actually allow connections between user, so that means merchant to end customer, user to user, any kind of connections that could enable a transaction, that would fall under the definitions of what is called DPS. And then you will need to register with EDA, the regulator. There is a big carve out that if your platform is already regulated by, this is the logo of Bank of Thailand and also the logo of the SEC who take care of the digital asset and payment. So you might not need to register yourself. But the reality is that when we talk to the regulator, we thought that all these big payment solutions in Thailand, they will not need to even looking into the DPS law, because they are already within the exceptions from the Bank of Thailand, right? They are regulated by the Bank of Thailand. They're not supposed to be regulated by other laws. But in reality, it's not true. Actually, because they are not just only provide the service that is regulated by the Bank of Thailand, not just payment processing, not just e-wallet, not just money conversion. They also provide other services as well. And this interesting chart is actually the chart that has been drafted or published by the regulator. You will see it over here, it talks about payment system. It also has the same logo as I put up in the earlier slide. So it means that if you want to do fintech business, aside from being regulated by BOT, SEC, AML officer, you also need to comply with the EDA requirement as well. And this is only because actually, or normally, and I want to show this logo too. So the green logo one over here, no, the yellow logo one over here, actually is a bank application that I use every day. But unfortunately, it has a feature that is a marketplace. So it means that the part that they are doing the banking side, they need to segregate it and then being regulated by the BOT. And then the non-banking side, the marketplace, they also need to be regulated by another regulator, which is very, 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 very difficult, but very, 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 very profitable to law firm. These are the type of the DPS, which I don't think you need to remember it, but you can, of course, take photo. So type A is, of course, the small one. Normally, you don't have any problem with it. But if you are starting to become type B or type C, then on your left-hand side column is actually the obligation that you need to comply with. And if you're considered as type D, which is large scales, the logo that I showed in the past slide actually would be considered as large scale. So you will need to actually register with the regulator and comply with the law. But the interesting part in this law is that even though you don't want to register, maybe you think that if you register, you have to comply with all the obligations. So you decided that let's not register. Actually, the law allows the regulator EDA to have the power to nominate your name, appoint your name, appoint the name of your platform to be considered as the large-scale platform. So it means that you cannot even go away if the regulator wants to regulate you, which is something that is very interesting in Thailand. We don't see it that much. And another thing that makes people feel a bit scared of, because right now the trend in Thailand is actually, it's also the same actually in Vietnam too. The law has extraterritorial effect. So for the platform that is focusing on Thailand market, or even the platform that is focusing on any specific target, then you will have to also register with the regulator, even though you don't have the company here in Thailand. So it's mean the same level playing fields as opposed to, like, for example, the local operator and the overseas operator that have no percent. So that's mean scalable from Singapore might not be doable anymore. But the key question is, again, how to enforce it. Because Thailand, Vietnam, or ASEAN country, we are not like EU. But this regulation actually has been heavily influenced by the EU law that has extraterritorial effect. So it's a big question mark that how the regulator is really going to enforce it, how they are going to invite the overseas platform to come and register with us. So that is a bit challenging. These are the criteria that I think it might be interesting for you to know that if you register, then if you are a marketplace, you will have the requirement that if you are going to place ad, then there are requirements about ads. So that means it's the same thing as Kun Jun has just mentioned, that it actually increased the cost. And if you are ranking your user, you also have to publish the main parameter, that how do you actually identifying which one is better than another. And of course, you must have the, I think it's a procedure or mechanism that either it's AI use or you use humans to actually take down the content or whatever is considered as illegal. So this new law is actually causing quite a lot of problems to the fintech industry that's already been regulated by BOT and SEC and the Office of AML. They are now being regulated by the EDDA, which is another regulator. And to make it more complicated, don't forget about personal data protection, right? Because nowadays everybody talks about, oh, my data is private to me, you cannot use my data and everything. So data protections actually, the data protection law actually has been issued 3 years ago in Thailand, has just been issued in Vietnam about a few months back, and will be issued in Laos, I think in about 2 years, and in a very, very draft stage in Myanmar, and in Indonesia is going to be enforced very soon. So when you do fintech, when you do KYC, when you collect information, when you collect transaction information, you have to be worried that whether or not you are still in compliance with the personal data protection law. And again, this is like another barrier. The last barrier that I actually have to mention about it is if you are considered as a CII, it's like a critical infrastructure. So normally, I hope the size of your fintech or your tech operation will not fall under all of this category. But be mindful, there is a category of banking and finance, which actually can include a lot of stuff, including fintech. So certain type of fintech also need to worry and comply with this Cybersecurity Act too. And actually that is the end of my presentation. I'm not allowing anyone to ask any question until I actually finish my summary. So the summary or key takeaway for you all is I'm not trying to actually scare you by saying that sorry, there are so many laws that you need to comply with in this region, but it is true. So for developing country within this region, actually it's quite the same as the panelists when they say you need to maybe perhaps study us a little bit more. Thailand is different than Vietnam. Vietnam is different than Myanmar. Myanmar is different than Laos. And the size of the company, the size of the economy in Laos may be small, but they also have their own regulation. So this ASEAN region is not as an EU like that one regulation means you can actually scalable in the whole region. So in ASEAN region, you will need to look into each individual country to make sure that actually you can do the business within the whole region. So again, it's a barrier, and I'm sorry to say that, but that is my job to tell you, to give you a heads up on what is happening. And last thing before I open up to the question is what is coming up, right? Aside from all of this, of course, it's AI regulation. So in the future, I think it's going to be start by Vietnam and then followed by Thailand. There will be regulations about AI. One is, of course, about regulating how generative AI is going to be used. And the other is on how to promote certain type of AI. And with that, I would like to actually close my presentation. And if anyone have any question, please feel free to let me know. Everybody's so shocked about law, right? No one want to ask question. Okay. Do you want me to actually summarize things in Thai? ได้ค่ะก็สรุปง่ายๆนะคะก็กลุ่มประเทศไทยกลุ่มประเทศ CRMV ก็ไม่เหมือนฝั่งยุโรปเนอะเราก็มีกฎหมายที่กำกับทางฟินเทคแล้วมีทางกลตมีทางแบงก์ชาตินะคะที่กำกับไม่ว่าจะเป็นเรื่องทางคริปโตเคอเรนซีไม่ว่าจะเป็นเรื่องเกี่ยวกับทาง payment แต่ว่าณปัจจุบันน่ะมันก็ยังมีแบบกฎหมายอื่นที่จะออกมาเพิ่มเติมซึ่งเป็นกฎหมายที่เป็นแนวทางจากพวกทาง EU อะค่ะอย่างเช่นที่น้องยกตัวอย่างก็คือกฎหมายที่เป็นเรื่องเกี่ยวกับ Digital Platform ซึ่งถึงแม้ว่าคุณจะถูกกำกับโดยแบงก์ชาติแล้วอะคุณก็ยังต้องโดนกำกับด้วย EDA อีกอะค่ะนอกจากนั้นแล้วก็เป็นอีกอย่างหนึ่งที่คนมักจะเข้าใจผิดคือถ้าเกิดสมมุติว่าเป็นประเทศที่พัฒนาแล้วนะคืออย่างประเทศไทยในกำลังพัฒนาเนี่ยregulator อะค่ะ regulator เดียวเนี่ยเป็น one stop shop แต่ถ้าเกิดสมมติเป็นประเทศไทยหรือประเทศอื่นในกลุ่ม CRMVT เนี่ยพูดง่ายๆก็คือว่าอย่าง AML ก็ยังแยกแบงก์ชาติก็แยกSEC ก็แยกอะไรอย่างเงี้ยค่ะเพราะฉะนั้นแล้วเนี่ยเวลาที่จะทำธุรกิจในประเทศไทยหรือในประเทศที่กำลังพัฒนาที่อยู่ในโซนของ Southeast Asia เนี่ยจะต้องระมัดระวังว่าคุณคุยกับ regulator เดียวเนี่ยเรื่องมันจะไม่จบแล้วก็อย่าลืมเรื่องเกี่ยวกับ transaction data ว่ามันอาจจะ involve ตัวข้อมูลส่วนบุคคลนะคะในกฎหมายไทยเนี่ยข้อมูลส่วนบุคคลเนี่ยรวมถึงตัวข้อมูลที่เป็นข้อมูลดิจิทัลแล้วก็ข้อมูลที่เป็นฟิสิกอลอะค่ะก็ต้องระวังให้ดีแล้วก็อย่างสุดท้ายที่เป็นน่าจะเป็นเทรนด์ในอนาคตนะก็คงจะไม่แพ้เรื่องกฎหมายของ AI อะค่ะก็เราคงไม่ถึงขนาดเป็นอิตาลีว่าเราห้ามใช้ AI แต่เราคิดว่าตอนนี้ค่ะทางรัฐบาลกำลังคิดอยู่ว่าสรุปแล้วเนี่ย AI เนี่ยเราอาจจะไปทางด้านอเมริกาดีหรือจะไปทางด้านยุโรปดีถ้าไปทางด้านยุโรปเนี่ยมันก็จะเข้าเรื่องเกี่ยวกับ human protection มากกว่าแต่ถ้าไปทาง US เนี่ยเราก็อาจจะมีโอกาสที่จะ expand หรือว่าเปิด scope ในการใช้ AI ได้มากขึ้นนะคะขอบคุณค่ะ